Heru makiru. Heru makiru. Heru makiru. Heru makiru. Duwara sara seteru. Attack. Okay, so we'll pick up where we left off last time. So we're going to start tonight with line 4. So we'll do 4, 5, and 6. So line 4. Remember we did this, especially line 5. Actually, we didn't do it. We kind of rushed through it. So tonight we're going to attempt to do a more detailed examination of the line, because line 5 is very important, and it's actually a turning point in the drama. It is a very significant aspect. So it says, M, line 4, M, Ua F, Shamsu, her, men, F, her, Heru Ma Sab, Kestet, and Jez, Abdet. And I'll go directly to the narrative, which begins actually begins here with the term Ra Punu. So Ra is in his boat, M-O-F, in both his, traversing the 3 relative planes of temporal existence of Ra in its forms of Kepler Raten. His followers are established in this sacred bark of Heru in his district of Ma. That is to say, established in spiritual vigor through righteousness of heart and order of spiritual practice. Heru, excuse me, Heru is he who is dignified within his district, and they who are his followers are also dignified as he is, being established in the truth of Creator Spirit. He rises in the east as the Heru, spirit consciousness of profound spiritual aspiration, rises in the east, the mind, through the power of the truth of Ma'at, in which this consciousness of spirit emerges in the mind of his followers, those who embark on the journey of spiritual mastery through the inculcation of Ma'atian immersion, being established in the awareness of spirit consciousness throughout all the lands, wherever they may go, in whatever place they may be upon the land, in whatever district. As Heru rises in the east, that is to say, consciousness of spirit within spirit awareness, he, and then it goes to line 5. So let's read line 5. Pa penu mu Jettu Asar Un An Heru Behudet. He emerges from within the primordial waters of noon, in which he arises through unobjectified matter as the central principle of cosmic consciousness awareness. Asar says these words: I exist as Heru Behudet, that is to say, the vital power of valorous soul within spiritual force. It is myself, Asar, who is taking on the battle against Set in my form of Heru Behudet to overturn what has happened to me and thus authenticate myself of the true secret mystery of the throne. As the true secret mystery of the throne. I was taken by Set and placed in a coffin and thrown into the Nile River. A tree grew around me, and I was placed as a pillar in the palace of the king of Syria. My dear sister Set found me and took me out of the coffin. She laid with me and conceived an heir. The pains which Set brought upon me did not stop there. He later found me and chopped me into 14 pieces. My dear sister at once again looked for me with labor and love. She later found all of my pieces except for my phallus and regenerated me. I therefore go forth as Heru Behudet to fight on my own behalf, to vindicate the injury that was done to me by the evil of Set. So that this whole line 5 is a turning point in the whole drama. So now we're going to go back to line 4. We're going to tie it all together. So Ra is in his boat, and Ra, seen here in his hawk form, the sun disk, and his left and right eyes, essentially the sun and the moon. And so Ra traverses the 3 relative planes, which are temporal, they're temporary. And so he comes forth and trifurcates himself into Kepri, Ra, and Tem. So what it's saying is that the spirit of Ra is pervasive throughout the 3 relative planes of existence of the Kepri, Ra, Tem. You know, the 3 relative states of the day. And so again, we see that in the Kemetic philosophy, the idea of time as relative, but as spirit pervasing that time. So the constant in time is spirit, and the relativity of time is change. So you have the Kepri in the morning, Ra in the afternoon, and Tem in the evening. And so that is the change relative to spirit. So spirit is constant and time is changeable. So therefore, the spirit is the real, and the changes of time are illusory. And this boat of Ra, this is a big point. It's the men have heard Heru Ma. This symbol under Heru means a district or a place. So men have Heru. So let's go back to her. Men have Heru. So the followers of Heru, or Heru, is established in his boat. So Heru has a boat as well. What it's saying is that the very same Ra who is in his boat, that is Heru. And Heru's district is Ma'at, is righteousness, is truth. And this causes Heru to be, Heru is a dignified personality. And that's the term Sab. So the term Sab means to be dignified. And the Sab is the jackal. So the followers of Heru are in the boat of Ra. So in other words, the followers of Heru are essentially following spirit. They are with spirit. So if you are a follower of Heru, it means that you are with spirit. You're on the side of spirit. So if we use the Star Wars terminology, you're on the side of the Force, and Darth Vader is the dark side, and you're on the side of the Force. So the followers of Heru are on the side of spirit, which is Ra in his boat, and that boat is moving through the primordial ocean and rippling that ocean and causing that ocean to appear as the three relative states of time of the day. And thus and being a follower of spirit causes you to be dignified. And the district, the sort of the feel, or the so think about it this way: if you live in a certain town and you live in that town, and whatever is in that town, you become associated with. So this symbol and the Ma'at symbol means the district of Ma'at. And so therefore the Heru is in the district. What it's saying is that the followers of Heru are in the district of Heru, but the district of Heru is Ma'at, if you follow that. So the district of Heru is Ma'at. And so therefore, it's like Heru is living in the town of Ma'at, and therefore Heru is influenced by Ma'at. He's associated with Ma'at, is associated with truth. And that causes him to be dignified because he's one of truth, because he lives in that district. He resides in that district. It's like if you live in a wonderful country, and it's oh, you're from that wonderful country, you're from that beautiful country. Like if you tell someone you live on an island, oh, you live on an island, that must be wonderful. And then they associate you with the island. So if the island is wonderful, then something about you must be wonderful. Similarly, Heru is in the district of Ma'at, so there's something must be wonderful about Heru. And therefore, Heru is dignified through that association with Ma'at. And that's because the followers of Heru are essentially in the boat of Ra. So men F with the determinative of the boat. So essentially being established in his boat, established in his boat of Heru. So essentially the boat of Ra and the boat of Heru are reflections of each other. And therefore the boat of Heru and the spirit of Ra is reflecting in the boat of Heru. And so you have there are reflections of each other. There are, and so if you're following Heru, you're essentially following spirit, which is Ra. And so this the Heru therefore is the principle that it has a certain dignity to it because of the, so Heru is Sab because of Ma'at. And therefore Heru is and now think about this, that now Heru is Sab because of Ma'at, and a form of that same Heru is Behudet that now has to encounter Set. So that same principle that is dignified, there's an aspect of it that has to encounter Set. So essentially is in other words, it's Ma'at operating through Heru that is countering Set. because it is Ma'at that gives Heru the dignity. And then this symbol in front of Heru I'll put it here and do something with it. Here's what we'll do. Make it big so you can see. So here's Heru. He's standing on a standard that indicates divinity. And this symbol down here that looks like a railroad track, that's determinative for a district. In front of Heru, you see this symbol, and this symbol means to support something, to be a support. And so your spiritual movement is supported by Heru. It is supported by that principle of Heru is the support for your spiritual evolutionary process. Heru is a support mechanism for your spiritual process. So whenever you think that you're alone and there's no one with you, there's no one behind you, there's no one supporting you, actually your own Heru nature is supporting you. Heru in this aspect is supporting you, and Heru, who is Behudet, is fighting for you on your behalf. So essentially, Heru is the mechanism of spiritual progress. But you need the goddess there. And we saw last week what she did. And later Asar makes a statement about what she did for him. And she's basically the one that puts the soul back together. So we're not knocking out the goddess. But what we are saying is that Heru is this aspect that is the support, and his form of bedhead is the warrior, the fighter. And when this is a very instrumental to understand, is that essentially it is Ma'at that affords you the dignity which raises your status to be able to engage the battle with Set. So the goddess is there. The goddess has reconstituted the body in her form of a Set. And in her form of Ma'at, she's actually the principle behind the forward movement of Heru. And so you're seeing how all the principles work together. So this is sophisticated philosophy through the hieroglyphic text. Now, this being associated with Ma'at, this idea of being associated with Ma'at should lend in a very practical way to orderly spiritual practice. So a specific time of day with a specific discipline, with a specific meditation practice, and not practicing today and not practicing tomorrow, practicing next week, practicing for a week and never practicing again, or turning away from the teaching and then coming back to, no, it's an orderliness. It's a kind of steady orderliness to your practical spiritual practice. And this Heru, you see that the symbol for district again here. And basically what it's saying is that the lands, the Kestet, the Kestet is actually all of the lands and so what it means is that Heru is pervasive throughout all of the lands. So Heru has dominion or power throughout all of the lands. So it doesn't matter where Heru is. He's dignified in that land wherever he is because of Ma'at, because of truth. And so he rises in the east, and he moves forward from there, and he makes a transformation, as we'll see now. So here's Heru on a standard. And then you have Ra as a hawk, this boat. Here you have the bark of Heru Behudet. Let's make it larger. Okay, let's not make it too big. And so we know it's Heru Behudet's boat because it says it here, as we said the last time. And look at the sort of the rudders for the boat. It has Heru at the top. So Heru is steering the boat. So Heru is steering the boat, and their shrine for Heru Behudet So here's Heru steering the boat. Here's the rudder. And in front of the rudder is the symbol for Ankh. which is holding a feather of Ma. And also it's a symbol of the divinity Shu. And here's a lotus flower. And then you have a shrine, like a canopy. And in the center, you have the canopy. In the center, you have the altar, and the boat is on the altar. And on the boat, you have the shrine. So you have like a replica of the boat in the boat. And if you look at the prow and the stern, you have the hawk with the sun disk. So that's the spirit of Ra that is the guiding or the dynamic principle behind the boat. But this is Behudet's boat, so Behudet is in the shrine. And here's the, this boat is a replica of the original, but this shrine is the original. And obviously, this is a massive structure. This is not placed in a boat or anything. This remains in the Holy of Holies, in the inner shrine. An offering of Ma'at to Heru. Now to get into the astonishing turn of events. So after all of that, after Heru is saying that he is, that he has his own boat, all of that, and that he's in the district of Ma'at, you come to now where Asar is when you have the rising that is coming from within the waters of the emergence. If we go back, Heru, is emerging from within the primordial waters. It's a big point. So Heru is emerging from within the primordial waters. He's coming forth as Heru. So Heru is coming forth from the noon. He has his own boat. His boat is associated with Ra. And so he's coming from within objectified matter and emerging, coalescing as a principle of Heru, which is, in this context, spiritual aspiration. And emerging with this coming with this cosmic consciousness awareness as Heru. So all of the Herus are being delineated, expressed. They have many different forms of Heru. So it's one Heru operating in different ways, depending upon what operation needs to be expressed or performed. So this is happening. So now Heru is emerging from the primordial waters. And then you're looking at Heru, you're looking at Heru, you're looking at Heru. And then Asar says, hey, wait a minute. And how we know that it is Asar speaking is because it says it here. Jed to Asar. Meaning words Asar. So words by Asar. Jed to Asar. Un. so exist. So Asar is arising, and Asar is saying, so think about it. Heru is emerging from the primordial waters as the entity of Heru. And then Asar is going to speak and says that I am Asar and I exist. And so that's fine. That's wonderful. And he goes further and he says that I exist as Heru Behudet. So Heru Behudet is emerging from the primordial ocean, and then Asar is proclaiming that Heru Behudet is essentially himself. So in other words, Heru Behudet represents the vital power, the energy, the spiritual force of Asar, that Asar is employing to engage in a battle with the enemy that has cut him up, destroyed him, which is Set. So Heru Behudet is an aspect, a manifestation of Asar that is coming into the field of the mind to engage in a battle of struggle with Set himself. And recall in the Assyrian resurrection myth, Asar is mutilated, he's torn up. Set puts him together and she actually waves her wings on his body to revive him. And he then goes up and he goes into the netherworld as Asar Sokar. And before that happened, she takes him out of the coffin and she lays with him and they join together and they have Heru. So Asar mated with Aset, so soul mated with wisdom and bring forth Heru. So Asar is bringing forth this Heru aspect of himself from within himself. And in his Sokar aspect, then he is now bringing forth Heru Behudet, and that Heru Behudet is a spiritual force. That's what Heru Behudet means. Spiritual force. So now that spiritual force he has a capacity to bring forth that spiritual force because of what Aset had already done. She caused him to bring forth an aspiration in the form of Heru by mating with her. He goes into the netherworld and he, in essence, now has the capacity to bring forth that spiritual force to now engage in a battle with Set. So in other words, that spiritual force is coming from within yourself. And what I mean by that is coming from within your own soul. So it's coming from within you to now encounter your ego, to now have a battle with your ego. So the spiritual struggle of a human being is spiritual force versus ego. And the reason why this battle is to take place is because Asar has to become vindicated. He has to overturn the calamity and to reclaim his rightful place as the ruler of all existence. And that capacity to come forth in that way, to engage this struggle, is because of Ma'at, is because the soul has recognized the truth of itself. And by recognizing the truth of itself, now it is ready to take on the battle against what is essentially a concept or construct of mind. So when you recognize that you are essentially soul, that you are not a physical human being, if you truly recognize that, then you are sufficiently qualified to enter into the spiritual process by recognizing that you're not a regular, you're not a human being, that there's something else to you, and that is spirit soul. And once that has truly been recognized, now the process of generating the spiritual force necessary to overturn the effects of the ego that has led to the idea of being an individual with a principle, and individual with an individual identity and existence. So your spiritual drive, your spiritual inclination is not coming from you, it's not coming from your mind, it's coming from soul. So soul wants to redeem itself. The soul realizes that it has come in contact with delusion, and that delusion has essentially chopped it up. In other words, you recognize that you are causing your own pain by identifying with your human nature. So Heru Behudet is an aspect of your own very soul that is now, it has certain qualities associated with it, such as valor, such as vital power, that if you are able to tap into that, then you take that valor, you take that vital power of soul, those two are combined together, and you have spiritual force. And now spiritual force is ready to engage the egoistic notions of the personality. Notice Set is nowhere to be found yet. Set is nowhere in the drama yet. Asar recognized what has happened. I was taken by Set, placed in a coffin, thrown into the Nile River. But my sister, the goddess of wisdom, she took care of things. Set chopped me up. So in other words, there's a recognition of the problem. There's a recognition that what has happened is an antithesis to the truth of the reality of soul. And what does that look like is what that looks like is you realize that your normal day-to-day life existence, the troubles and the elations that you've had, you recognize that that is a very it's temporary and it's not the truth of being. Anything that you do with your body is essentially not truth of being. And even further, anything that you've done with mind is not truth of being. That you are essentially soul. And the whole idea is this battle is to allow for an authentication. Sar says to authenticate myself as the true secret mystery of the throne. Because recall, Set wants to sit on the throne. He wants to be the master of the throne. He wants to be the one on the throne. And so Asar is manifesting as Heru Behudet to authenticate that soul is the one that is to be on that throne. And that the soul in time and space that is to be on that throne is Heru. So Heru is the same Asar. So when Heru is fighting against Set to reclaim the throne of Egypt, essentially that is Asar fighting in the form of Heru to reclaim his own throne. And that is what you are trying to do with your life. You are trying to reclaim your own throne. Because essentially you're the master. You are the divine self that is to sit on the throne of master of time and space as Heru. That is your righteous destiny. And it comes about through the recognition. And it comes about through this process, actually, of Asar conjuring or manifesting himself as Heru Behudet. The principle of working with this line is to chant it and meditate on it. So the chant will go Pa Henu Mu Jetu Asar Un An Heru Behudet Pa Henu Mu Jetu Asar Un An Heru Behudet Pa Henu Mu Jetu Asar Un An Heru Behudet Pa Henu Mu Jetu Asar Un An Heru Behudet. And you will have a statue of Heru Behudet or a picture of Heru Behudet, like this one, receiving. Actually, you can, the way how things are going, you can meditate on the boat. You can consciously focus the mind on Heru receiving the Ma'at offering, and you can use this as a concentration point. But there's something more powerful, but this is what you can use. So you can meditate on the symbol of Heru Behudet. And you have a more powerful symbol, and this is from the temple itself. You have Asar sitting on the throne, and you have the symbol of Heru Behudet above his head. And so you can enter this chant with this image. You chant it day and night. At any time you have to now be ruthless. So any free time you have, you chant it, you chant it, you chant it. So you can use that one with Asar, and you can use this one with Heru Behudet receiving the eye of wisdom. So you chant, you close your eyes, and then you visualize the images. So you visualize this image as Asar with the symbol of Heru Behudet above his head. So that's it. That's his Asar classical, pose, Asar as soul. And then you meditate on Heru, Asar as Heru Behudet, the warrior. And this means spiritual force. Now we'll have a reading of line 6, and that will be the class for this evening. So recall those lessons of line 5, and now we're entering into line 6. Line 6. Nebpet Her Seneb Remen Her Benu Mau Sebao. This is a big statement. Keri Her Pet Zesh Men E.F. Men F.M. Her Senu M. Meaning, the Lord of heaven is sustained by power of existent spirit, which allows for the capacity to see and ascertain the rebels, the enemies of the soul. So these are Set's cohorts. This sight allows for the rebels to be restrained and held back from their capacity to influence the personality to act in egoistic ways. That is to say, denude, to strip away the illusory facade of the negative egoism of the personality and lay bare the under reality of the egoistic principles of mind. So we'll go over this next time. The spirit light is the face of heaven which illuminates that which was opaque and brings into focus of the mind the negative forces that are impeding the vision of the higher self. This spiritual path is a journey, and this journey concerns the spirit consciousness of, and that's line 7. So here you have at the temple of Abu Simbel, you have the enemies all bounded up from the term keri, which means to restrain. They're bounded and they're leaving the temple. And this is on one side, so this is on the east side. And here's on the other side of the fiends leaving. Of the temple. You can see they're bounded. And this is what we'll discuss next time. Okay. Now to end, we're going to have a chant of the line 5. And you can chant in your worship space if you're able. With 3 minutes over, so we'll just chant it 4 times. And gently closing your eyes and allowing your mind and body to relax. And gently open your eyes so you can see the inscription on the screen. And call and response. Pa Henumu Jetu Asa Unan Heru Behudet Pa Henumu Jetu Asa Unan Heru Behudet Pa Henumu Jetu Asa Unan Heru Behudet Pa Henumu Jetu Asa Unan Heru Behudet. And gently close your eyes. And allow your mind and body to relax. You can continue chanting in your mind. Or simply allow the mind to relax. Boom, Hetet, 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 Hetet. Hetet. Gently open your eyes. So that is you receiving the offering from the royal. You are that divinity receiving that offering. Okay. So we will meet again next week and we'll do line 7. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone. If you want to, you can continue to meditate when we log off. You can continue to chant and meditate. It'll help you have a nice deep sleep. Okay, good time.
Dua, what's up?